All right. Hello, everyone. I am extremely excited about my interview today. I get the honor of interviewing Dr. Kori Propst. Dr. Kori Propst is the Wellness Director and Vice President of the Diet Doc, LLC, licensed in clinical mental health and counseling, and she's a licensed professional counselor. Kori has earned a bachelor's degree in exercise physiology, a Master of Science in Counseling, and a doctorate in health psychology and behavioral medicine. Her education is enhanced by certifications in personal training, health coaching, and lifestyle and weight management consulting. She is also an International Society of Sports Nutrition clinician. The Diet Doc specializes in educational consulting for individuals who desire to achieve optimal and sustainable health. She uses experiential approach to move her clients from chaos to capacity. The Diet Doc's lifestyle-based programming encourages individuals to adopt an approach of structured flexibility. With encouragement and the science of motivation built into every step of the process, clients adapt their behavioral and mindset to facilitate safe, effective, and enduring health practices. Their individual metabolisms, lifestyles, food preferences, and health conditions, as well as activity levels, goals, and daily schedules are key to developing their personal plans for success that can stand the test of time. Kori specializes in a blend of coaching and therapeutic modalities, including cognitive, behavioral, positive psychology, mindfulness, and strengths-based experiential techniques, all geared towards integrative self-determination. Her expertise includes physical and mental training and mind-body integration, optimal performance, and overall well-being. So, Kori, thank you so much for joining us today. I know our listeners are in for a treat when they hear you talk about all the amazing things that you're doing. So thanks for joining us.
Oh, goodness. Thank you. This will be fun. I love doing things like this.
Yeah, I do too. I'm so lucky because I get to learn so much with these interviews, and especially from someone like you with such a great background and the amazing things that you're doing. So if you're okay with it, just to honor the listener's time, I'm going to jump right into our interview. So I know that, Kori, you're doing some really great things within your company, the Diet Doc. And can you just maybe explain to our listeners a bit of what you're up to? And because I know that you guys focus on customizing any plan that you create for your clients, but how is that more effective than your average diet that someone might go on?
You bet, Nichole. Such a valuable question, and one that I think too few people consider when they are looking for something to help them live their lives better and live their lives in a way that really aligns with their values and mindsets and worldviews and physiology and metabolism. And so that really is what we are promoting, is a very comprehensive lifestyle-based program that considers the biology and the psychology and the sociology, so the environment that we live in and the people that we live with and what we feel connected to or disconnected from in regards to our lives as a whole. So how is it more effective than the average diet? Well, the average diet is cookie cutter. The average diet is a one-size-fits-all. The average diet is one that doesn't consider the long-term consequences of what the person is engaging in. It's not necessarily a program that emphasizes what this person enjoys eating and how this person is going to be able to sustain the structure of what they're eating. The other piece of it is we look at this from a structured flexibility sort of perspective. So two sides of the same coin. None of us are going to be able to achieve any goal without some level of structure, right? We have to have some guidelines. We have to have, and I'll call them rules. I certainly have rules in my life about what's appropriate and what isn't, and what I'm willing or unwilling to engage in at any one time. But then we have to learn to adapt. We have to learn to be a bit flexible because the circumstances change. We don't live in a bubble, right? We don't live in a vacuum in which everything is going to be the same all the time. Our moods change. The people in our lives change. If we're in relationship, which most of us are, even if we're not in an intimate relationship, we have friendships, we have coworkers or colleagues, people that we meet in the grocery store. Those are all relationships, and we are impacted and influenced by the people that we're in contact with. So because of all these different internal and external influences in our lives, we have to be able to approach our diet, our nutrition, with all of those things in mind as well. And that's not what the average diet does. They're concerned about you losing weight, and that's it.
And quickly.
So I look at it less from the perspective of a diet to developing your diet and nutrition based on how you want to feel for the rest of your life.
That's awesome. Yeah, because really when we lose the weight really quick or achieve a health goal really quick, it's often very temporary. It usually doesn't stick.
Well, yeah, you're right. It often doesn't because we didn't have the time, the reflection, the obstacles to persevere through, the support and learning of new perspectives along the way, so that if we get to that outcome that we desire, we've missed all of that very rich, necessary stuff in between that sets us up to be able to maintain that outcome.
That's right. And I sorry to interrupt. I just feel like intuitively, if you really think about it, a typical diet, you're cutting something out. You're cutting, whether it's one of your macronutrients or whether it's a ton of calories, you're becoming deficient, right? And so on the physical end, how is that going to be good for you later, right? And then like you're saying, all the mindset pieces, like I know that you're a huge proponent of mindset. So aside from getting what we physically need, how can you apply that for our listeners? Like part of that is your mindset when you're approaching a new way of eating or a health goal.
Sure. Well, I think we need to look at everything that we're involved in as affecting our nourishment, whether that's food, whether it's our physical diet, whether that's our mental diet. We have a thought diet. What are we consuming in terms of the things that we're reading and taking in and listening to? Because this affects us. It affects what we believe. It affects whether we compare ourselves to other people or not. If we're consuming trash information, then we're going to have trash for an attitude. We really will. So that's what I look at mindset as. It's an attitude. It's a way of thinking. It's a way of being, and it's a way of feeling. And our attitudes are really how we view the world, how we view ourselves and how we view our place in it, as well as how we view our circumstances. And it's not just our physical or mental goals. More than being a proponent of mindset, what I am is I'm really an advocate for the adoption of a certain type of mindset. So, you can at any one time have a mindset of pessimism, Nichole, and of course it's not likely to get you very far in terms of a sense of enthusiasm for your life. and a sense of aliveness or joy or even motivation. But then say you deliberately adopt a mindset of gratitude or of compassion or curiosity or growth or patience. So now we're moving into a new quality, an intensity of mindset that when we really embody, and what I mean by that is we carry that into various aspects or situations of our lives, especially the ones that we might label as difficult or hard or painful. That can really make the difference between feeling just completely overwhelmed and chaotic or feeling more confident and having a sense of clarity. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I love the mental diet concept. Like, I never thought of it like that, where if you're watching TV, whatever you choose to watch is going to affect your stress levels or your thought patterns, and same with who you converse with, who you spend the most time with. And I actually heard somebody say once, and it really stuck with me, that you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And so, just considering our listeners today, like, a lot of them are stay-at-home moms, and they're, they don't actually get to have a lot of social time with quality people. So it's really important that what they do engage in is quality stuff.
Yes. When I was working on my dissertation, I was looking at how individuals who were dieting or had dieted and were maintaining were impacted by the various relationships in their lives and the different circumstances that they are involved in, and how they adapted to those circumstances in terms of what are called their 3 basic psychological needs. We all have 3 needs. Every single human being on the planet has these needs. And they serve as the foundation for our vitality, our sense of energy, our sense of well-being and aliveness in life. And their autonomy, which is a sense of choice, competence, which is a sense of effectiveness in influencing our environments, and then connection, which is that sense of belonging, that, we're loved and we have the ability to love. And so when we can look at our lives and in the context of these 3 basic psychological needs, when we feel like our well-being or our sense of energy just kind of plummet or go down, or if we hear ourselves say, we get really good at, listening to that internal dialogue, and our thoughts may be saying, oh my God, where did all my energy go? Like, where is my motivation? I've lost it. If we hear something like that, we can come back to, well, how are my needs being met or not being met? What can I do to help bolster my sense of choice and my sense of effectiveness and competence, and then my sense of connection as well? Because what I found in my research is that when any one or all 3 or 2 of these needs have been thwarted in some way, or are dissatisfied, or they're threatened, that's when we're really going to feel isolated and alone and or depressed or overwhelmed or chaotic. Not aligned, not alive, not energetic or enthusiastic.
So can you clarify, what are the exact 3 needs that every human being needs? What were the words you used?
Yeah, autonomy, which is the sense of choice. That, we are kind of the masters of our domain. We're not being forced or coerced, and no one is demanding of us. We make the choices in our lives. We may not like the choices we have to make, but we make them. And then there's competence, which is the sense of effectiveness. in influencing our circumstances, our environment. We all want to feel competent. We all want to feel what you maybe have heard the term self-efficacy. So the belief in our abilities. The belief in our abilities to figure things out. Even if we don't know the answer, we can maybe identify the next best step. We can gather information and take the next best step. And then the third one is it's connection. And that's the sense of belonging. What's that?
That we all need the love.
Yes. Yeah. And we need to be able to love.
Yeah. Well, and these three things, it's interesting. For some reason, as you're talking about them, I'm just thinking about, like, my kids, or because as humans and adults, we need this, but we forget that our kids are just little people, too, and they need to be able to make choices and feel effective and feel belonged, and we forget about that. Like, we try to control everything, you know, whether that's their food or their, you know, they want to destroy a coloring book and we don't let them, or they want to mix the Play-Doh together, and it's like, you know, you got to let them. You got to let them do that stuff. And it's funny how if we notice those things in our parenting styles, we might, you know, notice that mirroring what we are in life too, and to maybe let go a little.
That's so insightful, Nichole. I think parenting gives us an opportunity to really reflect upon and observe our tendencies as mothers and fathers. Like, wow, that was really interesting that I just did that with Johnny. What possessed me to think that I needed to react that way?
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, I just want to switch gears here because we do have time crunch for us. So our listeners often tend to have a level of hormonal imbalances and symptoms such as fatigue or weight gain or even weight loss for those ones who are breastfeeding more long term, depression, food cravings. So what would you tell someone like this to give them some immediate relief? We know there are no quick fixes, of course, but you know, any help or advice for the audience and these overwhelmed mamas to get a sense of relief more immediately?
You bet. So I do want to say that our tendency, I think, for a lot of us is when we start to feel low energy and when we start to feel maybe depressed or chaotic, or we're lacking confidence, or things just feel really difficult and sort of, as we define it, out of control. We tend to let go of the disciplines that we have had in place that we understand to be vital to us feeling good most of the time. So for a lot of people, it's they start eating poorly, or they stop exercising when things get more stressful, right? When under those circumstances, that's when they need their disciplines more than ever. We tend to fall away from them when we need to latch on to them. So there's that piece to really dial in and zero in on appropriate nutrition, fueling very well, looking at how you're timing your food, how you're combining your food, if your meals are balanced or if they're, you know, really imbalanced in terms of too much sugar or carbohydrate, less than healthy fat. Am I not getting enough water? Aside from that, though, I think it's important to recognize that these symptoms, while they may feel, and I'm kind of making the quote sign with my fingers for everyone, while they may feel uncomfortable, you know, how we view them and respond to them will give them either like a positive, negative, or neutral kind of valence. So I think one of the most crucial gifts that we need to offer ourselves during this time and through these experiences is self-compassion. it's not something we're very good at. We're often our own worst critics, right? And we're thinking we need to be different. We need to be doing something better. We need to get it right. We need to be slimmer. We're too fat. I need to be a better mom. I need to be less emotional. I need to be a better spouse. I need to be more in control. I mean, I'm sure you and every parent out there listening, the list goes on and on. But I say we have to really flip that way of thinking over. No more comparing. What we need love. We need companionship. We need connection. We need a community. We need more curiosity rather than this catastrophic comparative shame-based thinking. And part of this is it's understanding that we're not alone. We may feel alone, but we really are part of a common humanity. So however much we're suffering, others have suffered or are suffering at the same time. We're not the exception. And thinking that we are can really leave us feeling very isolated. So remembering that there are people who want and need to help, but we have to be willing to ask for it. And reaching out doesn't mean we're weak. It doesn't mean we're needy. What it means is we're human. We evolved in kinship with others. One of our basic psychological needs, like I mentioned, is connection. Children weren't raised by just one mom or one dad as we evolved. Everyone in the tribe contributed. So whether it's friends, family, a coach, a counselor, I encourage people to reach out.
Yes. I personally will never not have a coach in my life again because it's made all the difference. You need somebody and you need that accountability and you need a little kick in the pants sometimes, and it's so valuable. So
I'm a coach and a therapist, and I have a coach. We are always learning, always growing, and aside from that, it's that connection piece. Someone who can say, "Wait, have you thought about it from this perspective?" Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'd love to. Oh man, I feel like we could talk all day. I feel like we barely scratched the surface here, but I do have to. I have to honor our listeners' time here because they're probably got kids hanging off them. They're trying to finish cooking. They're burning their toast. So I'm just going to sum up some of the biggest takeaways from this awesome interview. So first, we started off just chatting about diet. So avoiding the cookie cutter stuff because you guys, there are long-term consequences for very short-term results, and you want to also consider your mental diet. So what is your mind consuming? Make sure you're only taking in good quality stuff. So maybe do a bit of research if you aren't sure what that even means. Figure out what's feeding your mind and your brain. We all have three needs, as you mentioned: autonomy, that's choice; competence, we need to feel effective; and then connection, so belonging and being able to give and receive love. So those are all very important pieces that every human being needs. If you feel low energy or a lack of confidence or you're starting to feel overwhelmed, that's when you're going to lose the discipline to eat properly or stay active. So that's when you need to dial into and latch onto the tools and the knowledge that you have or to be able to gain more knowledge in that area. So my thing, what I heard you say is basically, before it happens, have a game plan. Have something in your tool belt that you can latch onto, like one healthy meal or the water on your nightstand or a little mini exercise routine, just something, so that when it gets tricky and gets hard, you can latch onto that one piece that's going to be your saving grace. And you mentioned what I really like is your reaction. So when your kids aren't sleeping, you're not sleeping, you're getting sick or you're depressed and you're tired, you haven't exercised, you're not eating well, your reaction to all of this situation is going to be the end result. So in order to make sure the end result is a good one, to just give yourself compassion and loosen up a little, not be so hard on yourself. And those were my biggest takeaways from what you chatted about. But is there anything you wanted to add to that?
No, that was really articulate, Nichole. There's one question that I encourage everyone to ask themselves in times when it can feel a little overwhelming. And, first breathe, because you have to put your body in a space to be able to reflect and think more rationally. And if you're in what feels like threat mode, that part of your brain has literally turned off. Now we're just fighting for survival. So breathe first. A few big, deep diaphragmatic breaths. And then, because that turns on the parasympathetic rest digest, now I can think clearly, part of the nervous system. And then ask, okay, what is one thing that I could influence right now? And just focus on one thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, keep it simple.
Keep it simple. Yeah, we're often trying to juggle so much at once, but yeah.
So that brings me to, you have a free gift to offer our listeners today, which is super generous of you. So can you share what that is?
Yeah, you bet. Thank you. So we didn't talk a lot about the specifics about nutrition, but I want to offer all the moms out there, parents, the opportunity to really understand their bodies better and what they need individually, because we're all very unique metabolically. So if your listeners are wondering, where to start, how much do I need? How much food is appropriate for my body to reach my goals? We have a state-of-the-art calculator that you can use as a starting place. The foundation of our coaching programs is the support and the communication with a coach, connection, so that you can really understand better your own personal needs and feel more aligned with your goals. But this calculator will give you a nutritional profile in terms of proteins, carbs, and fats that your body needs. And then we have accompanying video tutorials to help you out along the way. But we have locations all over the U.S., Nichole, overseas. Our coaches have been trained by me and Dr. Joe Klenzeski, who's the founder of the Diet Doc. And then we even have a Strong Moms division headed up by Ashley Barnhart, who I think you're going to be speaking with as well. So
I hope so, I hope so.
Yeah, that would be awesome. So when your listeners go to this link to acquire their free profile, I encourage them to take the time to reach out to us too, inquire about coaching so we can put them in touch with a coach in their area. But the link is www.the-diet.com/the-macro-doc.
Perfect. And you know what? We've attached a link to this page here where they opened up this interview. So you guys click on that link. Definitely check it out, because once you know the basis of what you need, that's your jumping off point. And then you know what you need and what you might be missing, and then you can get in touch with these guys and they can take you deeper. They can take you all the way. So do not hesitate to get in touch and reach out for help. But that calculator is a huge starting point. So thank you so much for offering that to our audience today.
Oh, you bet, Nichole. Thank you for involving me in this. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're going to hop off here. So thanks, everybody, for listening to Meal Prep Mastery for Moms, and we'll see you on the next interview. Take care, guys.